Thank you so much. It is a great pleasure to be back here at the Festival of Platform in this beautiful building with all these beautiful people all around. And I want to tell you a little bit about what we do in Costa Rica, where we came in 2005 when we started our interdisciplinary office for development and design, and we basically work in urban and rural areas. And we chose Costa Rica because on the one hand side, it's a culture that embraces peace. It's also a culture that promotes peace in terms of living with each other and in terms of living with nature. That is something that attracted us very much. And we work in different projects in terms of urban and rural development. And in 2010, we presented a first draft towards a roadmap to decarbonize Costa Rica as a country. This here's the map of Costa Rica. And we basically projected how it would be if we decarbonized the country in the span of 11 years. We did this proposal together with the Office for Metropolitan Architecture and its think tank AMO, Advanced Media Operations. And it was a little bit of an ambitious plan to go for this 11-year span. And in the end, it was this gentleman here on the left, the previous president, Carlos Alvarado Quesada, whose government finally ratified a plan to decarbonization that is now targeting decarbonization countrywide until 2050. So on the one hand side, what is decarbonization? It is a roadmap on the one side to promote the production of renewable energies. The country now has produced its electricity based on renewables for consecutive 8 years, which I think is a great achievement for a country like that. And on the one hand side, we looked at the possibility of boosting this kind of renewable energy production. And on the other hand side, we looked at the possibility of creating a sector-wide decarbonization that works on the levels of transport, industry, agriculture, and buildings, very much so. So the people that we met, they obviously had a lot of kind of concerns also. What does that mean? How will we live? What is decarbonization on a daily basis? And that is basically where we created a series of case studies, like we showed what it means to decarbonize a community, what it means to decarbonize a city, or how to change the cities within the Costa Rican urban landscape. And we were also asked, what does it mean in terms of the architecture, of course? Does it mean like we cannot have any windows anymore, or you will not allow us to take warm showers? Because many people think that it's a reduction of quality in daily life. So we wanted to show how this life can also be a beautiful life, and how we can also create a kind of architecture. And with that, we presented the no-footprint house, which is based on a modular system where you have a kind of key element component system. You have a kind of series of furniture blocks that you can put into the structural framework. And with that, we created a series of typologies that basically respond to different possibilities that at its time reflected the demand on the national housing market. So based on that kind of conceptualization, we created an open kind of architecture, what we call bioclimatic architecture, and promoted how the people can engage with their environment through the building that we designed. This year is a project that we presented at the last architecture festival here. It's called the No Footprint House. And it's based on this idea of opening up completely to the environment and embracing the outside spaces within the architecture. So based on that experience, we made a life cycle assessment that we presented at the Conference for Climate Change by the United Nations in 2019. And we showed the kind of weak points and the strong points of the concept. And based on the success of the project, we got into a dialogue with the national building industry and promoted new building elements that are based on renewables that were not yet on the market to further improve the performance of the project. So one of the things that we did was to develop all the components of the no-footprint house in a modular system based on laminated teak wood. We did that together with a Swiss-Costa Rican company called Novelteak. And like this, we have the possibility to fully include now regenerative materials within the project, and also to give more diversity in terms of the configurations of the buildings to our clients. The first client with our first target site, there was this gentleman here on the left, and he found this amazing spot above the southern Pacific coast in Costa Rica, near a place called Uvita. And we basically used the modular system together with the client to create a kind of new architecture, a new conceptualization that responded on the one hand side to the modular system of the no-footprint house, and we let the people play. So on the one hand side, we have these pre-designed typologies, but on the other side, we also people come with new ideas. They want to incorporate new kind of possibilities in the facades, in the distributions of the buildings. So that makes it very interesting for us, because it's a kind of almost like a self-learning tool or a toolbox that creates this diversity of different types of buildings. A more recent project is this one. What is interesting to say about Costa Rica is that it's a country with 14 different microclimates. So for us, in a way, it's a very nice laboratory for sustainable design, because we have to respond to a lot of climatic extremes. And in that sense, I think it's also very interesting to elaborate the no-footprint house according to the local conditions. This one is in a more enclosed kind of scenario, like the clients wanted to have the possibility to fully enclose, which was necessary there because of animals and because of the local climate. And this is actually the project that we present here at the Platform Festival. And for us, on the one hand side, this idea of a new together, it's a very multi-dimensional idea, and that's what we also found attractive about this exhibition. It's, on the one hand side, for us, a way of looking at the different clients that come our way, that come to Costa Rica to also engage in a more sustainable lifestyle. It's a way of looking into the buildings when the clients let us in, and we saw that they create a kind of community among themselves. Like in the end, it's not only about like the way they build, the way they live, or the way we design together with them their houses, but it really becomes a very multidimensional kind of discussion about how do we live. And that I found interesting, because beyond the pure issue of designing a building, we went into topics like permaculture. People want to engage in planting. They want to produce their own food. Many of our clients now come from other countries to live in Costa Rica, so they're also very interested to engage with the local communities. And how do you do that? How do you integrate? How do you combine this kind of new way of living? That is what we're working on with what we call the no-footprint community. And it has become this kind of very formal, informal network of different people working together. So by now we're not only offering our services in terms of building this no-footprint house, but it goes much broader in terms of like consulting people on mobility-related issues, working with the local people and industry on new kind of materializations of the building, and working with some people also on the concept of reforestation and permaculture. So that makes this project very exciting to us. Here in the context of this exhibition, The New Together, we found it interesting to show this kind of development of the project within the last couple of years. And we're now also working with local governments to apply what we have learned in terms of the modularity, not only in terms of this kind of architecture, which obviously responds more to a middle to upper class market. We also look now into low-cost systems that we can apply based on what we have learned with the first case study homes. So this makes this a very exciting project to us. If you want to see more about our work, you're invited to visit us here or in the different kind of social medias that we operate. And thank you very much.